Is the landscape of professional wrestling about to change? Hello, everybody. It's John. It is WrestleScope Weekly. Thank you very much for joining me here on YouTube and wherever you may be listening to this podcast. As always, please make sure you hit the subscribe button. Join the great number of subscribers that we've already gotten on this channel. Hoping to get even more over the next coming weeks and months. Also, excuse me, make sure that you like this video if you're on YouTube. Sign up for the notifications, hit that notification bell. Do that wherever you may be listening to this podcast as well. Also follow me on all my other social medias. You can see it here on the YouTube channel. TikTok is at WrestleScope TV. At TV_Wrestle on Twitter, and at WrestleScope on Instagram. You can find me on all those. Links are in my bios on YouTube and on all of these podcast formats as well. You can find my link tree so you can check it out. And again, we have to thank our sponsor, Iron Jock Performance Gear. You can check them out at ironjoc.com. I'm sporting my Iron Jock hoodie again, and I'm excited to say that they are rolling out starting tomorrow, March 8th, on their website, ironjoc.com. They've got brand new golf gear that's coming out for the golf season, so check that out. Excuse me, I'm sorry, folks. So we've got a lot to talk about this week. It's a big week. Obviously, I'm recording this a few hours before AEW Revolution. If you did not see my Revolution predictions, check that out after this broadcast. See how good or bad I am on my predictions. We shall see. A lot of things to talk about here. Not going to talk too much about the Paul White, Tony Khan huge signing. Because I do talk about that in the AEW Revolution predictions, but I'm going to be spending a lot of time talking about AEW, but I want to talk about the landscape of professional wrestling and what's going to be happening here over the coming weeks and months, because we've got a number of different announcements over the last couple of weeks of things that are happening. Obviously, AEW announced earlier this week with the signing of Paul White that he is going to be teaming with Tony Schiavone on the brand new AEW Elevation show that is going to be on Monday nights starting not this week but next week. March 15th will be the very first night of that on YouTube. Cody Rhodes, in the Revolution media call that he had a few days ago, he talked about how they already have a name for, excuse me, a third hour, my goodness, a third hour of TNT programming. He's not going to release the name, but that TNT program is going to be coming out sometime in 2021. And there's talks of actually possibly another show. So you're looking at 5, potentially 6 hours and different programs of AEW as they are just continuing to grow and grow their product, which is absolutely fantastic. I think because of this cough, I'm going to be actually drinking a little bit more today to keep from coughing at you guys during this broadcast. So obviously you've got that. There was the big news also that NXT is going to be moving off of Wednesday nights, and Dave Meltzer has reported, it's been speculated for a while that this was going to happen, and going back over the last month or so with NBC Sports Network getting shut down and NHL and NASCAR getting moved to the USA Network, they're going to have to make some changes, and NHL hockey has been Wednesday nights. So what's going to happen is NXT is going to move to Tuesday nights immediately following WrestleMania that coming week. And that means NXT and AEW are going to be on opposite nights. So in a way, you could look at it that, well, AEW won the battle. Okay, yes, they did, because NXT was forced to move. But there was other things going on. But at the end of the day, and I don't remember who it was that tweeted it, actually, I think it was Cody Rhodes that said it in an interview, was, you know what? Yeah, it's a quote-unquote win for AEW, but really who wins are the wrestling fans. Because now you no longer have to make the decision of which one are you going to watch live. Is it going to be NXT or AEW? I'm one of many people that do shows on YouTube that had to decide between which one they were going to watch. I know the great majority would watch AEW live and NXT recorded. I know some people that have dual screens up that would do both. I was the opposite. I would watch NXT and catch AEW on the replay. I would do that. And now this opens up the opportunity to be able to watch on separate nights. Now, the problem we run into is you've got 3 hours on Monday night, 2 hours on Tuesday, 2 hours on Wednesday, 2 hours on Friday. Then you add in Impact if you're into that, NWA, which is coming back, and then pay-per-views. That's a lot of wrestling to be watching. Now, I'm not like the Sean Ross Sapps and the Alex McCarthys and Fightful Select and PW Insider and Stephanie Chase and the guys from Wrestle Talk or SP3 or anybody like that that sits and reviews all the shows. It's not my full-time job. You know, these other people, that's what they do. It's their full-time job. They do it. They have time to sit there and watch and dissect and everything else. I'm not in that situation yet. But it's good and it's not so good because I want to be able to watch all these products and everything else. But man, you know, if you're going to have 4 nights of wrestling every single week, and then you add in pay-per-views, it's getting kind of overwhelming, quite honestly. And then you add in AEW Dark and AEW Elevation, NXT UK, and so many other things. And you know, I want to try getting caught up with the NWA, and I'm going to talk about NWA in a little bit. And I'm actually very disappointed in them, in the decision that they've made. But we'll talk about that in a little bit. So big changes coming as far as programming wise. Something that, I don't know, did we really see this coming in 2020? Did we really know this was going to end up happening? So we've got the announcement of NXT moving and AEW adding a new show. Obviously, AEW adding some talent. They signed Captain Sean Dean to a deal, and no, he's not the big announcement, though I think that's a great get for them for the lower to mid card area for AEW. Very talented wrestler, going to provide a spark in a lot of different matches. I think he's going to be really good on Dark at first and then moving up to Dynamite. You've got the big announcement tonight that everybody is still speculating. Nobody knows who it is, though actually I do want to talk about that. I do quickly want to talk about the fact that a report has come out from Fightful Select this afternoon, Sunday afternoon, that AEW talent, a great majority of the AEW talent, know who the surprise signing is. And they're not saying a word. They're keeping their mouths shut, probably because they have to, because somebody would get really ticked off if they released it. Okay? But it sounds like quite a few of the people in Jacksonville know who the signing is, who the mystery person is, and we'll find out in a few hours here. Again, as I'm recording this at about 2 o'clock Central Time on Sunday. Nobody's leaked anything. I think a lot of people are leaning towards either Christian or Kurt Angle. I think either way, if it doesn't end up being a Brock Lesnar or CM Punk, there's going to be a lot of people disappointed. That's all I'm going to say about it now, because I talked about it more in my predictions. But yeah, that's what Fightful Select is reporting, is that quite a few people in AEW now know who the mystery signing is. And that wasn't the case when Sting came in. There was literally a small handful of people that knew. Tony Schiavone didn't know ahead of time. And Tony Schiavone, out of anybody in AEW, has known Sting longer than anybody else. And he didn't know until the day of. He was surprised by it. He came out and talked about that earlier this week. So we're going to get some big surprises. There should be some big surprises tonight at AEW Revolution. And then it was announced this week, as we continue talking about this, it was announced earlier this week as well, just a couple of days ago, that NXT Takeover with NXT moving, the next NXT Takeover is actually going to happen on, I want to get the date right. Here. We're going to look. It will be on Thursday, April 8th, and that will be on the Peacock Network. That is WrestleMania weekend. So here's how it's going to shake out. That's going to be a crazy week. Monday, April 5th, you have Raw. Tuesday, April 6th, you have AEW Dark. Wednesday, April 7th, you will have the final NXT on Wednesday night, and AEW Dynamite, obviously. Thursday, April 8th, you will have NXT TakeOver. Now, I'm going to get back to that in a second because there has been another report about TakeOver. Friday, April 9th, SmackDown, the go-home show for WrestleMania. The 10th and 11th, Saturday, Sunday, WrestleMania nights 1 and 2. Raw on April 12th. And then the very first NXT on Tuesday, April 13th, and then AEW Dynamite on the 14th. So you've got 9 straight days, 9 consecutive days of professional wrestling. Live professional wrestling. Okay, you can't include Tuesday, April 6th, but who knows? Maybe something will happen there. And speaking of NXT on the 7th and the 8th, it sounds like NXT TakeOver is actually going to be 2 nights. They're going to stretch it out over 2 nights, featured by, obviously, the NXT title, depending on what happens this week between Adam Cole and Finn Balor. I'm speculating either a 3-man or a 4-man match. Balor, Cole, O'Reilly, and Pete Dunne would be the way I would go. Night 2, headlined by Io Shirai, defending against somebody, or maybe a multi-person match as well. NXT Tag Team titles on the line, the North American title on the line, quite a few things that they could do over 2 nights there as well. That's going to be an absolutely crazy week. It is literally a wrestling fan's dream. If you can't go to the shows live, imagine the amount of shows that you can watch on TV and online. It's going to be absolutely crazy. But NXT is going big. They are going big with this and heading into the next era of NXT for them, moving to Tuesday nights, being able to do things on their own, which I think is really going to benefit them a lot. It really is. Being a standalone show on the few Wednesday nights that we've seen where NXT was a standalone because of something going on with the NBA and AEW was either on later or on a different night, their ratings went up. If they can average 750 to 800,000 views every single week, that is a huge win for them. And then AEW, the first hour with Shaq and Jade Cargill versus Cody Rhodes and Red Velvet averaged, 1.13 million views. That is incredible for AEW. Now, they ended up with just a shade over 900,000 for total views, which is still fantastic numbers for them. But I think this is going to be a huge win for both AEW and NXT being on separate nights, because again, you don't have to split. They don't have what we had back in the Monday Night Wars, where you had 4 and 5 million people every Monday night watching wrestling. You just don't have that anymore. You've got a pool of 1.52 million people watching on Wednesday nights, and now instead of splitting that number, you could share that number. So I wouldn't be surprised if we saw ratings numbers for both shows go up dramatically once we get into April. This is WrestleScope TV. I am John. Thank you very much for tuning in this week. We're kind of all over the place here today. Since we're talking about changes in the world of wrestling, I do want to talk about something we don't get to talk about too much, but I'm excited to talk about them. It is the National Wrestling Alliance. That's right. That's the big name that had been around for many, many years. And then, when WCW came around in the 1990s, then the NWA name kind of went away. It's come back. William Patrick Corgan, he owns the company now. and they ended up having to take a hiatus. Obviously, COVID really took a shot at them 1 year ago. We're coming up on the 1 year anniversary, if you want to call it an anniversary. They were doing really good with the NWA Power Show, then had to shut everything down. They did come back with a few things with the United Wrestling Network and a couple of other things online. Then last week, there was just the firestorm last week of, oh my goodness, NWA took down all of their YouTube content. What is going on? What ended up happening? And then on Monday, it was announced that NWA was coming back, that they were going to have a big show coming up on March 21st, which, yes, is the same day as Fastlane. They're scheduled to start at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, so that's kind of a big lead-in to Fastlane. You're going to have NWA. Let's get the right graphic up here. Sorry, working on that. NWA back for the attack at 4 p.m. Eastern Time on Sunday, March 21st, which is 2 weeks from now, and then followed by WWE Fastlane immediately after that. They have announced a partnership with Fight TV. NWA Power is going to be coming back, but unlike when it was on YouTube, it is not going to be free. It is going to be weekly pay-per-views that you're going to have to pay for. Will it be a subscription service like Impact Wrestling? I don't know. Like Impact is. And Ring of Honor for the Honor Club? Not sure. I'm not sure if this is really a wise decision on the part of the NWA. Yes, I'm sure they are going to be getting infused with money from Fight TV for this, but charging $9.99 a week. This is kind of going back to what TNA did back in the day when they were first starting out, that you'd have to watch the weekly pay-per-views for $10 a piece. We're now in a situation where people are paying anywhere between $5 and $15 a month for a variety of different streaming services every month. Are people going to want to pay $10 a week for a week and a half, or for an hour or 2 hour program every single week? You just have to look at the situation with disposable income for people. Are people in the position where they want to spend this extra $10 a week? I will at the beginning. Honestly, I will at the beginning, because I want to see what they're going to be doing. And I really like Nick Aldis as the NWA champion. I obviously adore, love Thunder Rosa, what she does. It's going to be interesting to see, too. NWA has lost quite a bit of talent because of the pandemic. Ricky Starks has signed on with AEW. Eli Drake is now LA Knight in NXT. Serena Deeb, their NWA champion, is actually dealing with an injury right now. Not sure how much she's going to be available for TV. Obviously, we talked about it last week. You had the passing of the question mark, Josephus, Joseph Hudson. So that's a huge loss right there. So not really sure. And Zicky Dice, I believe Zicky Dice, his contract with NWA expired. Not sure what his status is. So it'll be interesting to see what they are able to put together. I mean, obviously there is other talent that they could pull in. And there is the relationship. Cody Rhodes talked about that this week as well, that the relationship is open between AEW and NWA. And there's a possibility, because Tony Khan is a very smart man and is just waiting for the right time for things, that there could be an AEW-NWA crossover event, which would be absolutely huge. What I would love to see, and AEW has opened the door for this, with Impact Wrestling, with New Japan, and a partnership with the NWA, could they turn one of their major shows into a huge crossover event where you have wrestlers from, it's an AEW show, but you have Nick Aldis, the NWA champion. You have Serena Deeb, the NWA Women's Champion. You have, I don't remember what his name is now, Aaron, the former Damian Sandow. I can't remember what his name in NWA is now, but the North American champion. Then you get, Rich Swann, and you get, some New Japan's talent, all together in a gigantic 4-hour super show, spotlighting the 4 companies. That would be a huge get for Impact and NWA, because getting that many eyeballs on their product and seeing some of their talent. Obviously, it would benefit everybody by having New Japan talent. And AEW will just look like geniuses by partnering with these 4 organizations, or 3 other organizations. But we shall see. But NWA is going to be back. They're going to be launching the weekly shows immediately the week following Back for the Attack. They haven't announced any matches as of yet. They should be. I believe it's actually going to be this week they're going to start announcing certain things. And hopefully they're going to get some marquee names, especially for Nick Aldis. That's a big one. They need to get a marquee name in to face him for the NWA Championship coming up at Back for the Attack, because they need positive eyeballs on their product, because they have been so up and down for the last year. And I want to see them succeed, because I really enjoyed NWA Power. That was must-view YouTube television, wrestling television for me last year. That is what introduced me to Thunder Rosa. I had not heard of Thunder Rosa prior to NWA Power. And, I mean, look what she's done. Obviously, again, Ricky Starks has done extremely well for himself in AEW and is a future superstar, upper-level superstar. And I think he could reach those upper levels starting tonight at Revolution. So big news there. We've spent a lot of time away from WWE itself. I do want to get into a few things concerning the WWE here as we wrap this up. Obviously, the big news out of WWE this week was Bobby Lashley winning the WWE Championship Monday night against The Miz. And quite honestly, I thought one of the worst Monday Night Raws there has been in a long time. I loved the match, the opening match between Sheamus and Drew McIntyre. That was just an absolutely fantastic match that should have been on a pay-per-view. Don't understand why it wasn't. But then they had the whole night-long narrative of Lashley was getting a shot and Miz was being a chicken S-word champion and didn't want to be anywhere near it. And I hated the fact that they stretched out the storyline as long as they did. I thought it was a disservice to Bobby Lashley. Yes, he ended up winning. It was in a lumberjack match. He should have won it last week. He really should have won the title last week. I'm happy that they put the belt on Bobby Lashley. Yeah, there's people that say, well, Miz was treated wrong. No, he did exactly what he was supposed to do. He went in, he was a transitional champion, he dropped the belt to somebody else, he did the job, great. I'm happy, but what does this mean for Bobby moving forward? Fastlane is 2 weeks from today, and we have no clue. The only things we know for Fastlane at this point in time are Roman Reigns versus Daniel Bryan for the Universal title, which really is just a placeholder. It's just a bump in the road for Roman Reigns until we get to WrestleMania where he faces Edge. And then we have the women's tag team title match, which, don't get me started on this, but Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler defending against Sasha Banks and Bianca. Sasha and Bianca, who are facing each other at WrestleMania for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Which direction are they going to go? Are they going to implode against the tag team champions, or are they going to win the belts and it's going to be Sasha 2 belts, again, partnering with her WrestleMania opponent? And then they lose the belts immediately the following SmackDown to whomever. I don't know. I'm sick and tired of the WWE Women's Tag Team titles. They have no idea what they're doing with them. And now with what happened this past Wednesday night on NXT, Dave Meltzer is reporting that NXT is planning on announcing this week that they are going to have their own NXT Women's Tag Team Champions. And I don't know if William Regal is going to just automatically announce it. Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez are the champions based on winning the Dusty Cup. I think that is a strong possibility that could end up happening. I'm not quite sure how Adam Pearce is playing into all this, because all of a sudden his character is kind of changing on television, where he's almost turning into that heel authority figure in a way. And I see a power struggle happening between him and Sonya Deville coming up very soon over decisions that are being made at SmackDown. But then what does that mean for him in a leadership role on Raw? I don't know. The NXT women's division is stacked enough where they could easily have great matches, great women's tag teams, definite contenders for, if it ends up being Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez. That's fine. On the main roster, they are so spread thin right now, and maybe it'll improve when Becky Lynch comes back and the addition of Rhea Ripley into the mix of things, but they just don't know what they're doing with those tag team titles. And Shayna Baszler, I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again, Shayna Baszler is getting wasted being in this tag team. Please, for the love of all things wrestling, get Shayna Baszler away from Nia Jax, away from this tag team scene, and let her go out and be the badass singles wrestler that she is. Why do you not do this? She is heel star written all over it, and they keep screwing it up. Send Nia Jax back over to SmackDown. Get her off of Raw. Get her away from the main event scene in the women's division, please. Please, I know it's not going to happen, though, because Vince McMahon, for whatever reason, just has a thing for her. I don't know what it is, but he just does. But again, Fastlane right now has 2 matches, and we are 2 weeks out from it. We have no clue what is going to happen with Bobby Lashley. I'm sure something will probably be announced this week on Raw tomorrow night. I'm sure we'll get some inkling of it. Riddle will probably have a match defending the U.S. title against Mustafa Ali. What's going to happen? Big E's going to be coming back. He will probably have a match against Apollo Crews, which, in case you're wondering, no, I am not going to talk about Apollo Crews and his character change. I tweeted 1 or 2 things about it, and I'm stopping there. I'm just going to leave it right there because it's going to open myself up to controversy. I'm going to let other people share their opinions. I'm done talking about it, though. I'm not talking about it. I will just say I think it's a mistake, what they're doing. I think it's just a mistake. But Fastlane should not be happening. They should not have had Elimination Chamber and Fastlane all before WrestleMania, because it means absolutely nothing. Realistically, all Fastlane is a test for the WWE and the Peacock Network to make sure everything's going to work okay for the major flip over when WrestleMania is just on the Peacock Network. That's all it is. That's the only reason they're doing this. They are probably hoping that viewership numbers are down, so if there are any issues, that they could take care of them right away. That there won't be that many eyes on the product to watch. Because quite honestly, if I had to pay for Fastlane, I wouldn't. You know Roman Reigns is going to beat Daniel Bryan. Okay, the women's tag team titles, yeah, there's some question marks, but who cares? Who really cares? And is Bobby Lashley, is he going to defend his title at Fastlane? I don't know. Maybe Miz gets a rematch. One rumor I heard, and it'd be kind of entertaining, is Lashley in a handicap match against Miz and Morrison, which would be kind of interesting. I'd be okay with that. I think I would be okay with that. But beyond that, what else are you going to do? WWE, it's a mess right now. It really, truly is. You know what? I honestly think that's going to be it. I think that's going to be it for the discussion this week. We're at the 30-minute mark here. Revolution is coming up in just a couple of hours. There's going to be a lot to talk about this week. I may actually do a Revolution reaction podcast tonight. We shall see. I know there's going to be a lot of people talking about it. Are we going to be happy with what happens? Are we going to be disappointed with what happens? I don't know. Again, please head on, check out my AEW Revolution predictions. Also here on YouTube. A little bit of a longer video for that one. I apologize, but got into some discussions there and had to talk about some things. But let me know your thoughts on who you think are going to win the matches, who you think the big surprise is going to be, and is Jon Moxley going to survive this match with Kenny Omega, the exploding death barbed wire ring of doom match? That's what I'm calling it. But it's going to be a great show. It's going to be a great show tonight. And we'll see what other kind of news comes out this week. I mean, this last week has been crazy. I get the feeling we're going to be getting more news this coming week as far as a variety of different things. So who knows? It's a fun time to be a wrestling fan, isn't it? Thank you again, everybody, for tuning in. Make sure that you subscribe to my channel. Make sure you also like this video. That really helps with the algorithms with things and helps us get out to other people. Hit the notification bell so you know every time that we post something brand new on this channel. And also follow me on all my social media. TikTok at WrestleScope TV. That's where I spend most of my time during the week. At TV_Wrestle on Twitter and at WrestleScope on Instagram. Thank you once again to Iron Jock for being a great sponsor. Check out the new golf gear coming up at ironjoc.com. I'm John. This is WrestleScope. Thank you very much and enjoy AEW Revolution tonight.